My life. And hello, everyone. Welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I am your host, Coach Elix. With me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen the Medium is here.
Steven the Medium. So you get Steelix for the next hour. And we have a wonderful guest, my friend, Dr. Charles Daniels, who is joining us again. And we're going to be talking to him about a new level of fatherhood. It's going to be a thought-provoking, very interesting conversation that you do not want to miss. But before we do that, Stephen and I have plenty of updates to share with you. First of all, Stephen, can you believe is Memorial Day weekend?
No.
I cannot.
No. So after this weekend, it's fall.
Oh my God! Oh God, Stephen, let's just enjoy the summer. He's already into waiting for Halloween.
That's true. That is correct.
Absolutely, I know it's true. But
Yes.
but for us, because we live in Cape Cod, what that means is that the herd of tourists, it's on the way. So I can only imagine what the bridge looks like today. And
Who cares? We're over the bridge, so
I
who
know,
cares?
but there's a lot happening after this weekend. So
No complaints.
I guess Stephen is very free from any worries or concerns. So
I'm in a Zen mode.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
very Zen, very peaceful, very Zen.
Okay,
So,
yeah. Let's see
yes.
how long that lasts. So,
Excuse me?
But talking about Zen, Stephen, I'm very, very excited for those of you who are listening, perhaps for the first time, or you don't follow us. If you don't, you should be following us. But something really excited happened yesterday, right?
Yes.
You want to tell people about that?
Yes. So we had our premiere of our series that we have been working on since last year, and it premiered 8 o'clock last night on YouTube. And it is a Steelix production, and it is the adventures of Stephen the Medium and Coach Elix, and the feedback has been outstanding. I just can't believe finally, we have been waiting for a long time for this, and finally the first episode came out yesterday.
Yeah, and if you haven't had an opportunity to watch it, you want to go to Stephen the Medium YouTube's channel and subscribe so you can watch it every week.
And get alerts for the new episodes.
Yeah, we'll gonna be putting new episodes. I don't know if it's gonna be every week. I know the next one is coming up next week, but it's really about being with us in our journey and our adventures, which are often unpredictable, often, hilarious, I would say. And what you see is what you get. Like, this is not a produced anything. It's really Stephen and I being Stephen and I. Really, that's
It's
what
not
our life
scripted.
looks like. It's not
It definitely
scripted.
is not scripted, no.
Nope, no. And those of you who watched last night, and somebody had said, really, somebody actually asked, is it really true that Stephen does not know the difference between a regular knife and a bread knife?
Somebody asked that?
Yes. And I said, actually, if you knew Stephen, you wouldn't even be asking that question. Because anyone that knows Stephen and knows Stephen really well absolutely knows that that is not made up. That is the actual, real truth.
And you know why? Because like our breed of dogs, Japanese chins, and like little Ricky, he comes from royalty. I feel, though, when the bread gets to me, it should be already cut and on a plate. So what do I need to know what knife cuts the bread?
Yeah, because you know who cuts it and who puts it on the plate? that would be me.
Yes, it would.
That would be me. I'm the one who cuts it. I'm the one who puts it on a plate ready to go. So, yes.
And if there's a loaf of bread that, because I am a bread fiend, then if you're not around, I just will stick my hand in the bag and pull it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen that many times. I just rip a piece off.
Yes, and often I have to get more than one bag because one bag often does not survive the trip from the bakery
No.
to home.
No, it does not.
Absolutely.
It does not. But there, it's all true. Like you just said, Elix, all of this is not scripted. It is just the life and every second and day of Stephen and Elix.
Yeah, and he highlights who you are as an attorney, as a medium, mostly because this is all about Stephen the medium, and it also highlights who I am as your
Yes.
husband, as a partner, and as a business person. And next week, I'm excited because I next week we're gonna give you a little taste of my hometown, Puerto Rico, and it's gonna have a little bit of a Latin flair.
And it's amazing.
I think it's awesome.
Yes.
I think it's awesome. You know, Stephen, like why do you think people should tune in to watch us? What do you think they would get away by watching us?
Well, I think, the first thing that comes to mind is laughter. Like that's just so necessary right now because of everything that's going on. So right there, it's laughter. And I think another huge part of this is just what we represent as two gay guys that have been going on will be going on 30 years together in this relationship. So even breaking stigmas of thinking gay guys can't stay together and, all of that in our relationship that hopefully I hope people get to see and get to learn and understand why it's almost 30 years.
Yeah, I just came out of the womb when I met Stephen. I
I
came
was
out.
in the womb.
Yep, okay. I popped out and Stephen was there waiting and we met and 30 years later, here we are. That's it. And if anyone has anything to say about that, be very careful because you'll be blacklisted.
You'll be banned,
You'll
baby,
be
banned.
from our social media. But what else is going on, Stephen? What else is going on with you? I know you started a new class. How's that
Yes, it's going amazing. I love teaching. And so this past Wednesday, I started my introductory class, which I haven't done in over a couple of years. And I'm sure I won't be doing it for a little bit after this one. So, but the participants are amazing and very connected, and it's just a lot of fun. I love getting to teach what I've learned from Spirit and just incorporating humor with the class and just making sure that it is a positive feeling no matter what. Whatever we're dealing with is just positive. That's what I love.
and this is a beginner's class, right?
Yes, it's the introduction
Is the
introduction
intro-
class.
is the introduction class, but you also gonna have intermediate class.
Well, I just finished teaching the intermediate, but not after this one. Then the intermediate number or part 2 will be coming. So, and the plan is to get these classes up on my website so that you can actually purchase them. That you'll get the materials, you'll get the video. Obviously, you won't be live, but pretty much any question if you're taking this class remotely, any question you've got is always asked and answered in these sessions. So that's why I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if people wanted to check out your classes, where would they go?
To stephenthemedium.com. And something also that I just want to throw out here about the premiere is a huge shout out to Michelle Darachek, if I'm pronouncing that right, that is edited and is responsible for all the magic. She
Yes.
is incredible, an incredible producer, director. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of people have given us a lot of feedback as to how professional this was produced, was edited, and it looks that way because we actually have a top-notch producer behind the scenes, really guiding us, helping us. And Michelle is a Grammy Award winning producer editor, so she really knows her stuff. She's got incredible experience, and she really makes it easy for us to just do our thing and look really, really good. So I'm really glad, Stephen, that
We
you
love
brought
her.
up, you brought up Michelle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love her, and she gives us direction, and it's just incredible. And she's a wonderful person too. So I love that we're working with her.
Yes, and if you are not following us, you again the only way that you can get to see the our episodes is you gotta subscribe to Stephen the Medium YouTube page, and through Stephen the Medium you can connect with me at Coach Elex. But that is the only way that you can be part of this. And if you are already subscribed, we want you to share, 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 so that the world can get a little taste of what we are all about. And I also, the other thing, Stephen, is we get a lot of feedback from people that watch us and they're inspired by who we are as a couple. And and I think what this will show is that we our life is a regular life. We have ups and we have downs. We have breakdowns and we have breakthroughs. So it's not about having a special life, if you will, or because we still have to deal with pretty the circumstances of life like anyone else, but it's how we deal with that. And I think that watching us and watching what happens behind the scenes will give you a perspective that may be possible for you as well. Does that make sense, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean the only thing I would say is but I do think and I do believe and I do know that we do have a very special relationship. But
We
but
do.
what you just said is that anybody can have the same if you work at it.
Well, that's exactly it. We certainly do. There's no question about it. What I have with Steven, it's something that is incredible, but it's not because we were handed a special relationship. We've worked on creating the special relationship, and we've worked on creating the life that we love, and we're very, very intentional about doing so.
That is true.
So there you go. And but transitioning, because we need to take a break very shortly. And I am so, so happy that my friend, because ultimately he is a friend, Dr. Charles Daniels, has agreed to come back to talk to us about his program, Father's Uplift. He's going to talk about what he does as a mental health provider. This is May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so this is really a great opportunity to close the month with an incredible, incredible person. So I'm really excited to have Charles back with us, and I honestly think I just said to him earlier. I hope you are prepared to come back next week because I think we have so much to talk about. I don't think we are going to even scratch the surface on just one show. So, just to make sure we have plenty of time today, let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk about a new level of fatherhood with Dr. Charles Daniels Jr. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex. With me, the one and only, my co-host,
Stephen, the medium, is here.
Steven the Medium. So you got Steelex for the next hour, but you also have an amazing guest. He is someone I consider a friend. He's a colleague, Dr. Charles Daniel Jr. He's a therapist and the CEO and founder of Fathers Uplift, which is the nation's first mental health and substance abuse treatment facility for fathers and families, helping fathers become and remain emotionally stable for their children. Dr. Daniels has spent the last decade providing therapy to black men, helping them overcome the effects of toxic masculinity, racism, and oppression. He has taught at Harvard University and Simmons University, has appeared on numerous television and radio programs, and is an Obama Foundation Fellow. At home, Charles is a husband and a father of two, living here in Massachusetts. His wife, Samantha, who Stephen and I have the pleasure of knowing, is the co founder of Fathers Uplift. In February, his new book, Therapy for Kings, that's quite the title, was published and is available now. So there is so very much I want to talk to Charles. Charles, welcome to the show again.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
I am so very happy that you, as always, you take the time to partner with me and to be such a supporting colleague and a friend. So I really appreciate you being here as well. So since this is Mental Health Awareness Month, we are so happy you could be here. You could be on to share your perspective around how Fathers Uplift provides therapy to black men while also offering mental health counseling, coaching, and advocacy to assist fathers, Charles, with overcoming the barriers that prevent them from remaining engaged in their children's lives. As your agency has grown, have you found the social services sector of our country helping fathers and families, is still engaging enough or not engaging enough?
Yeah, I think we have more work to do. I think when it comes to future practitioners, future social workers, psychologists, and graduate schools throughout the country, we have to do better in preparing them on how to work with fathers, how to work with men of color. As I was teaching at Simmons and also when I've taught at other institutions, what we know for certain is that there isn't specific curriculum geared towards preparing them to work with fathers during and after a pregnancy situation or work with men of color who are returning home from incarceration, right? There's curriculums with addressing other issues, but we got to make sure that future practitioners are prepared to really serve diverse communities that have men who are on the verge of reentering prison and or who need constant support throughout fatherhood. So we have so much work to do, but I do think that we are turning the corner here. I think there's a lot of interest. People are considering how they could be useful, but we still got a long way to go.
Charles, what you're doing is such a wonderful program that can provide so much, and I know we talk about you know black fathers, but I do know that you also serve individuals from the brown community, of
Hmm.
Hispanic backgrounds as well, because often individuals in minority communities are often face the same issues. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that, when it comes to distribution of resources, typically those resources aren't distributed adequately to communities where black and brown people reside. So absolutely. I think it's important for practitioners to be prepared to serve those communities similarly to other communities.
Yeah. Now, I saw on your Twitter feed that you have a new drop-in center opening soon at Father's Uplift. Can you let our listeners know more about what the drop-in center is and how these can help the community?
Absolutely. So, when we look at the research, we know that, black men in particular, black and brown men, make up the majority of the prison population. But when you look outside in your local communities, we only make up a fraction of the population of the United States of America. And that's specifically the case when it comes to black men. So how is it that the majority of us are in behind bars, but in our communities, right? It isn't that many of us. There's a lot of us, but not as much as it is behind bars and in prison. So for us, we say, well, if we're going to keep building prisons and jails to keep people there, we need to start creating community when they are back home. So this drop-in center is a place of community for men who are on the verge of being released to stop by, get what they need, whenever they need it, on their way back to wherever they're going. There'll be a consistent social support for them as soon as they leave that jail or prison door. So what we want to do is create as many drop-in centers than prisons and jails. And if we can do that, we believe that we can change our community. And now we only have one that's opening in June, but that's the ultimate goal. How can we make sure that we have more drop-in centers than prisons and jails in the United States of America?
Yeah. Give me an example. Like what are some of the things that individuals who are coming out of jail may need to rebuild their lives? What are some of the things that you provide for them?
So, we really start with the basics. Like, for example, underwear, clean underwear.
Yeah.
Right? Or socks for the winter. And even, right, a nice bag to put all of their belongings in when they get ready to leave and even after they leave. Do you know how many men and women in general who are returning home from incarceration have to leave with plastic bags?
Yeah.
And do you also know how much shame is connected to those plastic bags? So I would say from the smallest things, the biggest things, underwear, toothbrush, right? But also to someone that can help them modify child support payments or decrease the amount of debt that they receive while they're behind bars. Because we know in Massachusetts, if you get ready to get arrested and go to prison and you don't call the Department of Revenue, they will continue to charge you child support payments even though you can't pay it because they don't know that you are incarcerated. So we help them get rid of their debt. I mean, these are things that the drop-in center is going to be able to do, advocate for them on how to navigate family and probate court. So from providing a nice bag to maintain their dignity to being able to advocate for them that with issues that occurred when they were not in the right mind space to be able to take care of those issues.
Yeah. Charles, when I listen to you, I'm listening and I get emotional just listening to you because I know that what you're doing makes such a difference. It makes such a positive impact on people who are often dismissed by the system. And what I'm left with, Charles, and again, I'm lucky to have known you, to call you my friend for many years now. But you are very passionate about this. Where is this passion coming from, Charles, for you?
Well, for me, I didn't have a father in the household. So, but I blame myself for my father's absence. And for me, that was a big thing. When I blamed myself and I thought I was the issue, I treated myself like I was the issue. I strayed away from relationships. I engaged in substances. And I found myself on the verge of trying to commit suicide. So a lot can happen when you see yourself as the problem. And what I realized is when a father, regardless of his race, see himself as a problem to his child, he won't be in his child's life. And what I wanted to make sure is that we create a movement where fathers could always understand their value to their children, even when they felt like they wasn't worthy of being there for them. And if you knew that you were valuable, regardless if you're behind bars, regardless if you're in a shelter, you will continue to try to be the father that you know your kids need. And for me, that's why I wanted to create this. To be honest with you, Elis, I don't even understand. I could say this unequivocally, right, and confidently, that my father today really doesn't know his value to me. And we know that with fathers others, there's going to be some men that we don't reach, and some men who will never understand their value, right? But if we can make sure that every man that we touch know how valuable they are, we change a legacy, we change a generation, and that's my motivation. I want to give the fathers that we serve what my father did not have. And that's a reminder that they're valuable. And I think that's equally important, whether you're a mother, a father, a grandparent, you need to know that you're important to the children that you have.
Absolutely, Charles. And I can't help but think that, oftentimes when you have that same situation with a white parent, people have a certain understanding
Hmm.
and have more empathy, perhaps, you know, better get the situation. But when it comes to someone who's black or brown, often that is dismissed
Yeah.
as unimportant. Why? Why do we do that, Charles?
Well, I think the injury that has occurred due to systemic racism has really placed a dent in our country's
Mm-hmm.
health, right? And I think there's so much work that we have to do to make sure that people are not impacted by their injury. But I always believe, for me, that there will always be a battle between preserving an injury and trying to get rid of that injury. And I think
Mm-hmm.
us as members of society will fall along that lines, whether we're enforcing that injury, teaching people about racism, or are we ignoring and pretending as if it doesn't exist? And I think we have a role to play in this regard, but I do think that people who engage in certain behaviors due to racism, it is not their fault. It is the system that enforces racism's fault. And that's what we
Mm-hmm.
got to address. So I really think it's deeper than just an individual being racist. It's the systems, it's in our courts, it's in our child welfare systems, it's everywhere. It's a part of America. And that's a sad thing.
It sure is, Charles. We I want to take a break. When we come back, I mean, again, this is a subject that we could talk for multiple shows. I know that in the Forbes article from earlier this year, there's a mention of, you talked about anger management versus sadness management, and I
Hmm.
really want to talk about that with you. I want you to share about a bit about what that is and what is the distinction between the two. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take that on. We'll be right back.
All right.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex. With me, my wonderful co host,
Stephen.
Stephen the Medium, is here, and we are talking today a new level of fatherhood with Dr. Charles Daniels, who happens to be my friend. He's also our therapist, the CEO and founder of Fathers Uplift. Father Uplift is an extraordinary nonprofit that has a mission to support fathers and families, not only in Massachusetts, but worldwide. Charles, again, welcome back to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. Now, before the break, Charles, we talked about that article in Forbes where there's a mention of anger management versus sadness management. How would you describe what that is and what's the distinction between the two?
Yeah, I think that when you look at anger management, it's mainly the thing that I would say courts require people to do for a particular certificate or to get something in the court system, right? It also limits the amount of emotions that one particular person has. So for me, when I think about anger management versus sadness, I think anger management is a label. It's
Mm-hmm.
typically the step that people go towards. When I think about emotions like managing sadness or managing frustration, managing happiness, I think we really honor how holistic it is to be human and the various emotions that people feel. And that's what we do at
Mm-hmm.
Fathers Up. We really talk about a broad array of emotions and not just anger, because we know that men, anyone, experience more than just anger, right? That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't define.
Yeah, that reminds me of distinction. I've been training organizations on using conversational intelligence, which is the neuroscience of fear and trust, to help them deal with issues around race, equity, and inclusion. And that reminds me of the distinction of listening to connect, which is really to listen to get on the other person's world. It's not listening to confirm what we think we know they are. It's not listening to verify our assumptions about who they are. It's really listening about to connecting to their world. And you're absolutely right. Oftentimes we label people, they're angry, right? Versus really get their world. Maybe their world is filled with sadness. Maybe that whatever we see is the result of some pretty difficult life experiences that unless we get in that world, we just don't get to access or have empathy for what it is that they're going through. So that's really wonderful, Charles.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the Uvalde massacre. And I know this is, in the headlines today, and I know people are still trying to understand and cope with this massacre and the horrendous act, and how do we cope and we deal with that. And I know there's a lot of blame going on, but there's one thing that you said recently, and you talked about, and I'm quoting, it is a privilege to feel an emotion, embrace it. Why do you think it's so difficult for men in particular to feel deep emotions, Charles?
Wow. Me, I think it's really tied to what we've been taught as men.
Mm,
We're taught to do everything for everybody, to control, to be the man, be strong, tough, and carry everyone's load. And when we feel as if we can't do that, we get down on ourselves. I think it's important for men because sometimes and oftentimes being in the moment is the best thing that you can do,
mm,
and really understanding that the capacity to feel anything is a privilege because you're alive, right? You stop feeling when you die. And I
mm,
think for us to really understand, when I can sit in this moment and really, and not necessarily enjoy it, but really honor the fact that I'm sad that this situation occurred, I have not lost my humanity, and I most certainly have not lost my heart. The
mm,
moment when you can't feel, that's when things become an issue. And for us, that's what we're telling everybody at our agency and people that we come across. is that honor the moment that you can feel. And yes, change may not come when you want it to come. Nonetheless, for you to be in this moment and be able to grieve, you're doing more than just staying stagnant and not feeling anything.
But what, Charles, what would you say to somebody who is so numb to feeling anything that they hear what you're saying, but they don't know how to? How do you guide them to learn how to feel an emotion?
Absolutely. The first thing I would say to that person is that they have to be okay with asking for help. Before you can feel, you have to get back to a place where you can be healthy, so you can acknowledge what you're feeling. So if you have to go to a hospital, if you feel like, well, I don't even want to live anymore, if you have to find a therapist, there's several directories out there. Reach out and ask somebody for help. Now, once you get to a place where you feel a little bit better about yourself, you have to understand is that feeling an emotion and knowing that sadness and anger is something that's going to occur, that's a part of being alive, right? Again, like I said before, to not feel is to be dead. And some people are walking around here physically alive, but they're emotionally dead. They haven't asked for help or allowed anyone to help them. And I think the first thing that we all need to do, I think the other thing that we all need to do is really just erase this assumption that everybody arrives to this place of healing and success by themselves. It takes a village. The question is, are you going to allow people to be a part of your village so you don't have to carry these burdens by yourself? And I think that's a realization that we have to get to. When you're by yourself, you're going to suffer by yourself, and you're going to be numb by yourself. But if you allow people to come in, you have some extra support. You don't have to carry that load by yourself. But we got to get to that. We got to get to that conclusion. We have to really allow ourselves to let people in as a part of the process of healing.
Yeah. Stephen, this brings me to you. I mean, Charles mentioned talked about, keyword, being like dead, and you talk to dead people, but this comes up often, Stephen, in the conversations that you have with people who are so deeply in that space of grief that they can't feel the emotion. What would you tell them?
Well, I think on the same hello, Charles. Also, I think pretty much on the same token as what Charles just said is that I think it's just maybe a branch off of what Charles said, because I do tell people that when they are grieving for a lost one, whoever that may be, I just always tell them that first and foremost, you can't feel them in spirit if you're in a energy pocket that is numb. You've got to get out of there, because the first thing that spirit always tells me is that, they want, when we lose our loved ones' goal is to want to reach out to let us know that they're still here, that they see us, they're proud of us. And I always tell people but you can't connect if you're in that non-feeling energy pocket. And then I will continue with, as what Charles said, is that that also is not just solely for spirit, but it also just starts your life back on watering, fertilizing, and blossoming it so that you do feel and you can move forward and resolve things and, acknowledge things and resolve things. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense for me. Charles, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think this is all good. Yes. The understanding we're human. We got to feel it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Well, Charles, too, as I listen to you, and of course I love listening to you, and I love that you're on the show, I just want to throw something out there as I connect with you, whether you believe in what I do, whether you don't, it doesn't really necessarily matter to me. I hope you do, but all I can feel is not just your family, but every single person, individual, that African American, brown skin, that walked this earth and didn't have this service that you're giving, that you're offering this community, and went down whatever road that wasn't the road they wanted to, and now are in spirit, and their mothers and their wives and their girlfriends that are all passed away are applauding you, Charles, like I couldn't even express to you. Just, you were clearly tapped when you came into this world to do this big, that you to serve the universe, to serve God. But it's just, when I'm listening to you, I just hear everybody that you've never even met physically that are just in tears and applauding you for what you're doing. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
And that comes across loud and clear. I mean, for those of you who
Wow.
have had the opportunity to meet Charles, this guy is not doing this because he wants to be famous. This guy is not doing this because he wants to feed an ego. You are doing this because you have a real deep connection and passionate to the work that you're doing, and you really are committed to the communities that you are serving, and that is just so inspiring. I mean, it's beyond. So I totally can see, your spirit, the spirit world, giving you a standing ovation. Charles, again, this is just not enough time to talk about so many things, but I do want to come back. We got to take a break. When we come back, I want to go back to mental health in racism in America and see, if what's the correlation between the two, and get your perspective on that. And I also want to talk about your recent book. So let's take a break. Charles, hang in there. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix. With me, my wonderful co-host, my better half.
Stephen the Medium.
And to make the day even better, we have my friend, my colleague, Dr. Charles Daniels, who is talking about a new level of fatherhood. Charles is the founder and CEO of Father's Uplift. which is an institution committed to supporting fathers and their families in Massachusetts and across the country and the world. Charles, last before the break, we talked about. I wanted to ask you about mental health and racism in America. We have a mental health issue in America, and we have a racism issue in America. Sadly, we've had more racism showing up in our communities, obviously, with the latest mass shootings in Buffalo, the horrendous shooting recently in Uvalde, Texas. I know this is a tough issue to discuss, but we found that more and more people are feeling helpless with these events. In your opinion, and given the work that you do, Charles, how do we connect our mental health issue and our racism issue, and what do we do about it?
Wow. I think first thing is connecting the mental health and the racism. What I really am just telling myself is that there's only so much that one person can do about this situation.
Mm.
And us that follows up, that we know that we're going to always have barriers. Racism is going to exist. Challenges within the mental health and medical system as it pertains to people of color will exist. But how can we make sure that the people that we serve and the people that we come in contact, right, have the ability to internally self-parent themselves, love themselves, forgive themselves, be gentle to themselves so they can navigate these challenges? Because when it comes to like foundational issues that exist in society that are interwoven into the threads of society, they're going to be present. But we don't have to let them destroy us or prevent us from living the life that we deserve to live. So when I think about the connection between the two, like the disparities in both, is interwoven into the fabric of society. Nonetheless, when it comes to us, human beings in this situation and in this setting, it is imperative that we understand that we have power over anything that we face in our lives, even if it's systemic. Perception is the biggest thing. And that's the thing that we can control and that we really focus on when we're serving people in a therapeutic setting. So I would say that's the connection for me when I think about those things. And I got to practice what I'm telling people, right?
Yeah.
I'm in pain when I see these shootings. I'm in pain when I see black and brown people killed for no apparent reason other than their skin tone. But I can be in pain and still be a father to my kids. I can be in pain and still enjoy their presence on the playground. I think we can do both. We can live and be human.
In Charles, I often, for me personally, when I hear somebody say, and we hear that often today, well, we have a mental health issue. We need to take care of our mental health issue. But oftentimes it comes from a very tone deaf perspective because it's almost as a way to dismiss people who are uncomfortable talking about the racism issue.
Yeah.
How do you confront this without confronted but being generous, confronted but having empathy and compassion? Because otherwise, if we confront it in a way that's not that, then we become part of that problem.
Yeah, I think it's where we situate. I think every action that occurs, that I believe personally, every action that occurs in the world starts with where we are situating our blame. I think if we as human beings put blame where it exists and leave it there, I think we will naturally treat people with compassion. Like I can't blame a white person who was born in the '60s or the '70s for everything that has occurred due to racism. It's not his fault. And I think that gives us more contextuality to be able to interact with people who may have different opinions or experiences than us. We got to put blame on the systems that were created prior to our birth. We can't blame people for things they don't have any control over. We got to keep things in context. And some people, to be honest with you, will never change given how impacted they were by what they were taught. But that's okay. I try not to waste my time on people that I know that can't change. I'm not going to have a conversation about how I feel about racism with someone that is deeply injured by the system that perpetuates racism. It's
Yeah.
just a waste of both our time. So I say put the blame where it needs to be and really treat people as human beings as a starting point. But blame the system, not the person. And Nelson Mandela held that approach. And that's one that I stand by still this day.
Wow, that's so awesome, so inspiring, Charles. Listen, we don't have a lot of time, but two things, Charles, you got to come back. So I already asked you if you can make it work next week. If not, we got to get you back because there's much more to talk about. But before we do that, since the last time you were with us, you have a new book. It's called Therapy for Kings, and I absolutely love the title. It was published and it's now available, so congratulations, Charles. Now, you mentioned the book is an effort to bring therapy to the homes of kings, wherever they're located. So I want to know who are the kings, and that the book is for men who want to work on themselves and sharpen their internal awareness and identify the origins, just as what you said, the origins of their hurt. What inspired you to write the book, and how has it impacted fathers or men in general?
Wow. So for me, I think that we're all kings. Men, we're all kings.
Mm,
And the reason why I wrote the book is because, the question you asked earlier, Edith, when the mental health and the challenges pertaining to racism and other challenges that may exist, when they combine, they create injury. And what I found is sometimes that injury prevents a man from asking for help. It prevents a man from going to therapy. It prevents him from even recognizing that he needs therapy. So I figured, why don't we create a tool for men to be able to do that self-evaluation themselves without having to leave their homes or go into an office? Perhaps this could be a starting process for people to do that work, for kings to really do that work and understand why they are kings and why they have to start treating themselves as a king, and why it's important that we all evaluate ourselves annually. So I create
mm,
this tool just for that person to do that inner work themselves until they want to pull somebody else into their journey. So that's the purpose of the book. And for us, I feel like it's been impactful. But for those that have read it and used it and did the activities in it, and I definitely would encourage people to get it. But yeah, it's a tool to use, a self-evaluation tool to use if you don't feel comfortable in engaging a therapist at this point of your journey due to injury.
yeah. Where can people get the book, by the way?
Yeah, so you can get it on all major selling platforms, Barnes and Nobles. You can get it online at therapy.kings, Therapy for Kings. You can find it online. Also, Google Bookstore. Any bookstore sells the book online. So check it out. Would love for you all to get it.
Fabulous, fabulous, Charles. That's top of my list of my next book to get. Again, Charles, I'm so inspired by who you are. I thank God and the universe for putting us together, because since then we've built an amazing relationship, and I'm very very blessed. Would you come back, Charles?
Yes, I would love to.
So you and I will chat about getting you back sooner than later, because I have a whole bunch of questions that I didn't get to, that I know our listeners want me to get to, so that we can get to know more about Dr. Charles Daniel. So, Charles, thank you so much for being with us, and give a big hug to those kids, those beautiful kids, and your wife Samantha, from both Stephen and I. Stephen, anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you, Charles. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Elix. Take care.
Thank you. Okay. And we got to the end of the hour here. Stephen, honest to God, I did not want this to end.
No.
Charles this is a force to be reckoned with. And I knew that
It's
when I met him years ago. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
you know what? Me too. And he's not just a very unique soul. It's just he's just also he's likable. There's just so many like great characteristics that he has, and I think the biggest one is just the authenticity. He's just genuine and he's authentic. So that's the greatest thing, and I love listening to him.
I do too. I mean, I just love this guy, and I'm gonna do everything possible to get him here ASAP. Get him back here ASAP. So, Stephen, what first of all, where can people find you?
StephenTheMedium.com or Stephen the Medium everywhere.
Stephen the Medium anywhere. Are you anything up for the weekend, Stephen? We have a few couple of minutes before.
Am I what? What did you say?
Oh, I don't know. Did you
want me to dance? Is that what you said?
Say that again. You sort of went away for a minute.
I didn't hear what you asked me if you want me to dance.
No. Oh God. See,
I'll dance.
did you hear the part about Charles Boggs that all that we're kings? I'm your king. You know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That.
But you are mine. See that?
Well, seeing that this is a PG radio station, I can't say exactly what I'd like to say, but okay.
That you love me, I know, and that I am your king. That's for sure.
Okay.
But what are you up to this weekend, Stephen? Anything?
I don't know. You talk like I'm a separate person from you. Whatever I'm up to, you are up to, right?
Yeah, we're up to having an amazing day, amazing weekend, and a lot of good food. I said at the beginning, actually, no, I was telling Mark, I didn't say it in the show, that your birthday's coming up in June, and we celebrate the whole month because, clearly you've told me before that I don't do enough for your birthday. So, we're going to start your birthday celebrations this weekend. That's what we do.
Yeah, so and as it should be. It really shouldn't wait till June. It should be, she should stop putting the gas in the car like the end of May. So, yes, so it's pretty much my birthday.
I am aware. But listen, everyone, if you want to follow me, you can find me at Coach Elix anywhere. I hope you guys enjoy this show as much as we did. Thank you, Dr. Charles Daniels, for once again being so generous with your time, with your attention. And we will be back. We're going to have part 2 of this conversation. And for those of you who are ready to enjoy the weekend, have an amazing Memorial Day weekend. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.